Yes, Eniola whispered, her tears falling onto Tobi's shirt. He won't see where we are going. He won't be able to follow the path back. They drove in a silence so thick it felt like they were underwater. They bypassed the bright streetlights of the wealthy suburbs, heading toward the heart of the city, where the sprawling central market lay dormant and dark. As they drove, something strange happened. The car's dashboard lights flickered violently, and the engine sputtered. Tobi began to make a frantic, rhythmic noise, a series of sharp grunts, shaking his head against the window. Kola cursed, hitting the steering wheel. Even now, he won't let us have peace. What Kola didn't see was a black SUV with no headlights following them 2 blocks behind. In that SUV were gunmen hired by a political rival to eliminate the competition that very night. Tobi's spirit was screaming, his body thrashing to create a field of protection, but his parents only saw it as a nuisance. The flickering lights of the car were his way of trying to stall them, to keep them from stopping in the open where they were vulnerable. Finally, they reached the gates of the abandoned market. The air was cold and smelled of rotting peelings and dry dust.
Out.
Out. Now, Kola commanded. They hauled Tobi out of the car. The boy's feet hit the dirt, and he immediately began his ritual, crouching down, his blindfold slightly askew, his fingers clawing at the earth to pick up pebbles and dry leaves. He didn't cry. He didn't beg. He simply existed in his world of shadows. We have to leave before the night guards see us, Kola urged, pulling Eniola back toward the car. Tobi. Eniola sobbed, looking back one last time. The boy was a small, lonely figure in the middle of the vast, empty stalls. He was making a low humming sound, his way of guarding the path even as they abandoned him. As the Adeleke sped away, the SUV that had been following them suddenly lost its trail. The gunman pulled over, confused. Where did they go? They were just in front of us, one hissed. Tobi's catastrophe had worked one last time, his presence had masked their car's exit. But now, the shield was gone. By the time Kola and Eniola reached the mansion, the heavy iron gates felt like prison bars. They walked into the house, looking at the spots on the carpet where Tobi used to convulse. It's over, Kola said, though he didn't sound relieved. We tell Bisola and Deo he was taken to a special school far away. We tell the world he died in his sleep. We move on. But the moving on didn't bring the peace they expected. That very night, for the first time in years, the house was silent. There were no shouts, no thumping on the walls, no midnight roaming. And in that silence, the Adelekes felt a sudden, chilling cold. A month passed. The house was clean. The reputation of the family seemed to be stabilizing. But then, a knock came at the door. It was an old pastor from a small parish they had visited months ago in a desperate search for a cure. The man didn't sit down. He stood in the foyer, his eyes burning with a strange light. Chief. Madam. I have come because the spirit would not let me rest. If you're here for money, we've spent enough on prayers, Kola snapped, his stress levels rising. The pastor shook his head. I am here to tell you that you have thrown away something precious. You thought you were carrying a burden, but you were carrying a golden shield. That boy was a gift from God. He was the reason your enemies could not touch you. He was the reason your barns were full. Eniola laughed bitterly. A gift? He was a disgrace.
He couldn't speak. He ate dirt.
He couldn't
cost us
speak.
everything.
He ate dirt. He cost us everything. You see the dirt, but God saw the sacrifice, the pastor replied solemnly. Now that the shield is gone, the wind will blow. And when it blows, you will have nothing to hold on to. They chased the pastor out, calling him a madman. But as the door slammed shut, the phone rang. It was the customs office. Mrs. Adeleke. We are calling to inform you that your entire shipment of industrial machinery, the one worth your entire liquid capital, has been seized. There are irregularities we cannot overlook. Eniola felt her knees go weak. At the same time, Kola's secretary sent an urgent message: the election board has found a discrepancy. You've been disqualified. And the contractors for the bridge project, they just pulled out. The catastrophe had begun. Without Tobi's spiritual noise to ward off the darkness, the walls were finally closing in. The downfall was not a sudden crash, but a terrifying, rapid slide. Within weeks of the pastor's warning, the Adeleke empire began to bleed from every vein. Eniola spent her days and nights at the customs office, begging, bribing, and shouting, but the officers remained like stone. Her goods, representing decades of labor, were auctioned off for a fraction of their value. At home, the atmosphere turned toxic. Chief Kola, once a man of power and booming laughter,